This podcast is a quest for well-being, a quest for a meaningful life through the exploration of fundamental truth. Enlightening ideas, insights on physical, mental, and spiritual health. The inspiration is love. The aspiration is to awaken new ways of thinking that can lead us to a new way of being well. Welcome to Body, Mind, and Soul Healing Conversations.
Be prepared for an amazing health transformation. Through Valentina's breakthrough programs, you can resolve lingering issues, while you can achieve optimal wellness through my personalized integrative approach. By eliminating underlying imbalances, you'll feel healthy, energized, balanced, and mentally clear in no time. It is all about identifying the causes, map out a plan, and create positive change. Besides innovative modalities for releasing stuck emotions, the system offers fascinating insights into your DNA and nutrition, as well as customized lifestyle upgrades. The DNA Blueprint or Digital Transformational Guides will deliver results, whether you dive right in or start from scratch. Valentina uses a comprehensive, science-based approach to identify the source of health imbalances, so you can optimize your unique blueprint. You'll feel rejuvenated, vital, and a sense of well-being when you take advantage of this treatment. This is the beginning of the journey. It's time to uncover the root causes of your pain, heal them holistically, and transform your health in ways that will make you excited about life again. Valeria interviews Valentina Bain. She is a certified somatic practitioner, geonomics, epigenetics coach, holistic nutrition coach, EFT master practitioner, craniosacral therapist, Reiki master, neuromuscular therapist, sports therapist, labor doula, and NLP mindset coach. With over 20 years of experience as an entrepreneur in the wellness industry and natural-minded mom to 4, Valentina has trained extensively to help clients get to the root of chronic issues. As a somatic therapist and epigenetic coach, Valentina shares the ultimate secret to elevating holistic healing, vitality, prevention, and longevity, your unique DNA blueprint and custom protocols. She provides breakthrough blueprints using DNA, HTMA, and other functional tests to help you unlock wellness on a whole new level. Valentina explains how genetic variation informs a customized diet, lifestyle, and solutions that will lead each individual to their best self. By understanding how your body handles chemical processes, you can go right to the root of health issues. She partners with clients as a trained practitioner to determine which insights are most relevant today, since gene expression evolves over time. Meet Valentina at valentinabain.com and valentinabain.thrivecart.com/breakthrough-blueprint. Here's the interview with Valentina Bain.
In your own words, who is Valentina Bain as of this moment?
What a simple yet complex question.
Yeah.
It depends on the moment, right? So the first thing that comes to mind is I am a mom. I'm a mom of 4 beautiful children. I'm a wife. I'm a daughter. I'm a friend. So, I think especially in America, the first thing when someone says, "Who are you?" we start with our elevator pitch of all the things we do. And I fortunately lived overseas enough that I stopped doing that. And I like to share kind of like who I really am inside. So I'm a learning human being and a teaching human being and an adventurer. And I absolutely have a passion for sharing the painful past that I went through and turning that into my purpose and just helping others that I meet along my path in the best way that I can. And I do that through all kinds of different tools, as you guys, may have read, but through integrating ancient modalities and science-based modalities and epigenetics included. So I really just love diving into how the mind and body are connected and how our past and our future can all be intertwined into creating a now that we can just be totally in love with. So that's a bit about who I am.
Yes. Wow. I love how you started with, I'm a mother of four. So you said, I'm a mom, I'm a mother. And then immediately a question came to me. I have heard that before, of course, from mothers. I'm not a mother myself. I'm a mother. I'm a dog mom. And probably a lot of people's moms around me, including my husband's and etc. But why? What is it about being a mother that carries so much weight in a meaningful way when it comes to the human experience? From your perspective, Valentina.
Well, there's two things that come to mind. First of all, I'm also a dog mom, and that totally counts because we are, and I believe parenting animals do this for us too, right? But the human experience, when we are passing along our, everything we've learned to the next generation, there's this beautiful transition that's happening. And so I think there's this feeling inside that we want to do a better job than what opportunities we had, right? We all want to do it better. And sometimes we find ourselves doing it completely opposite of something and finding ourselves on the other end of the spectrum. It's like, oh, I went a little too far there. But there's this beautiful experience that, when I'm 5 years old, I can't process what's happening to me fully. But when my child is 5 years old, there's a part of me on a deep subconscious level and in a physical way that's processing that because I'm watching it so intimately right in front of my eyes. So it's a really beautiful healing experience. And I also believe that there's a responsibility that comes from like being gifted humans that you're responsible to look after. It's like, first of all, am I qualified for this? And second of all, like, wow, this is a beyond full-time position. But it's really cool. They're all teenagers now, and they inspire me so much, their whole journey through life, to just be the best person that I can and to make the world as much of a great place as I can. What can I do to make the world a better place, make them the best versions of themselves? And that also comes back to, okay, now I have to be the best version of myself, because I believe they're going to learn the most from what they see from me, not from what I say. Right. So I become the teacher in what I show them. And so it's just an opportunity to become your best self and to pass along everything in the most beautiful way possible. Wow. That's what I believe motherhood is. Yeah. And the amount of love is just profound. That kind of comes through. So, yeah.
Wow, what a beautiful answer. Yes, truly beautiful. Yes, and wise. I love the piece of being a model. So it's not just about guiding, even teaching, mentoring, coaching, inspiring, but being what you want them to be. So you become this. It's almost like becoming the message itself, and not just delivering a message. I often say that here.
Which is so much harder to do than to say. Right. It is so much harder to live that out. It's a lot easier to say, why are you behaving this way, than it is to look in the mirror and say, how is what I'm doing encouraging you to behave this way? How can I take responsibility here?
Wow. Wow. Yeah, that's a big one. And I wonder if that is actually something that happens in our reality as a whole. Are we kind of projecting what is happening here, always pointing the finger out there, but actually there's something at the subconscious level happening that we are not aware of. I always,
Yeah.
that's a fascinating kind of study and contemplation, right?
Oh,
Reflection
yeah.
to have.
There's that saying of when you point one finger at someone saying you're doing this, you have how many pointing back at you,
Yes.
right? So really what we're seeing in someone else is usually in my experience, something that we are seeing our reflection. So, and that's not easy to unpack, honestly. It's easier not to see
No.
it that way.
Yes, it's not, because I often have these conversations here and we go really deep out there, and I hear that a lot from a lot of people, especially spiritual teachers, and every time I ask them, how can all this violence in the world and at a collective level, we just see so much chaos. How can that be a reflection of what is in here? It doesn't. It doesn't match, because my day-to-day living, its experience, it's very calm and peaceful. So, and then I hear I hear so many things, and I don't know, Valentina. I think minds are different, bodies and minds. Perhaps what we are trying to say is that consciousness is expressing itself in different ways, and it's, of course, consciousness is one for all of us. It's existence itself. But the body mind, obviously, they're different. All bodies are different, and all minds, the content of mind is different. So I think it's very important to kind of know the difference, and it's not in the way of separation, but it's I think has to do with discernment, which comes from wisdom, really, knowing knowing the difference.
That's a beautiful way to think of it. And yeah, I think often before times of huge breakthrough and change, we sometimes experience the opposite of what we desire, just as like a way to clear things up or really bring things to the surface. Right. Perhaps that's the time that we're in. And the other thing is, we're seeing things around the world more than we ever have before. So you can pick up your phone and see what's happening everywhere. So it's an interesting reality that we're in, how we have access to all of the things going on. So if you turned all that off, if you turned off the news and off everyone else's reality, are there people being so hateful in your existence, in your bubble? Because that's the reality that you're really creating. And if we bring our focus there in our little zone in our lives right around us, then what does that look like? Because there's magic there in that experience. And I think that's where we have the most, I don't want to say control, but we're interacting more intimately with those people that we're drawing in, like little, tuning fields, like a radio station. We're tuned to a certain frequency. What are we drawing in? And that can give us kind of a guide on what's going on inside of ourselves. And you sound pretty peaceful right now. So you know what I mean? So we just have to kind of bring our focus back in and around us, and because it's really overwhelming to think of the world as a whole.
Yes. That's another insightful idea, that we don't have to live different realities. We don't have to experience them at the mental, psychological level. We can just be here and now in a holistic way. We can be here as a whole, which basically nothing's happening. Well, from my experience here, nothing in the sense of nothing chaotic. There's just this, and it feels very peaceful, right? Yes, I also wonder that if, whatever we are in contact with, or we are aware of, if there's a teaching behind that. I usually follow those signs. Whatever it's coming to my awareness, that means something. I don't know exactly what it is, but I'm always open and asking that question. What am I to see here? Why is this being shown? Why is this in front of me? So I often ask that question. I ask for truth a lot. So it's not, I don't want it to be comfortable or in a different position or different place, but it's always, what is truth? Show me the truth. What is the truth here? I'm looking for revelation, I guess. And then that's what makes this experience a lot of fun from my perspective. Always being
Oh, I
open
love
to
that.
truth.
Yes, I love that. You pay attention to animal totems and angel numbers and all of that as well.
Yeah. Yes, I do.
Yeah,
I used to.
of course.
Yeah, nowadays I'm less mystic. I'm not mysticizing those things and kind of look at them and yeah, for some reason I've not seen them in this way anymore. But we have the tendency. I think that's natural, isn't it, Valentina, to kind of interpret reality from a very abstract way, or I don't know.
Yeah, speaking of the
Right.
ancients, I mean, that's what they did, right? They gave meaning. That's what most of the animal totems are, is the meaning of the ancient cultures to different animals in their society. So, yeah, it's like that. I guess that's human nature
Yeah.
to see the world around us as showing us something from a greater
Ah.
existence. Like, what
Ah.
does this mean? What is, yeah. So I guess those
Mm,
questions are more natural than we would think. And
mm.
yeah.
Yes. Oh, yeah. No, no. I do that all the time. Yes, yes. Looking for signs and kind of interpreting them from that perspective, spiritual per se perspective. Yes. But I used to do the number thing. Oh, 4, 4, 4, 2, 2, 2. That means something. But
Yeah.
now, for some reason, that dissolved, and I'm not looking at them anymore. But from time to time, it comes back. So it's kind of interesting. Who knows? It might come back tomorrow. Oh, later
Maybe
today.
you
Yeah.
may have developed your own intuition deeper because you don't need the numbers, you just get the messages, more
Mm. Ah.
easily. I feel that way. Like in my earlier days of learning to listen to my intuition, those were really helpful tools to interpret. But now it's like I hear it a bit more clearly, just comes a little bit more naturally because I have more years of practice, being
Right.
aware.
Oh my God, you're so wise.
Oh,
What's not to
thank
love
you.
about that? Yeah, thank you
Well,
for being you. Thank you.
oh,
That's
you're so sweet. Right back at you.
yeah, it's really wonderful. So, going back to what you do, gosh, I have so many questions, initial questions. What inspired you to become a holistic wellness expert? Um, and you do so many
Uh,
things within that umbrella, I
yeah.
know. But
Yeah, I think it was really a path that unfolded very organically for me because I was born with chronic health issues. And so being human just was not easy.
yeah.
I mean, just eating was uncomfortable. My body was just not happy about a lot of things. So I was just in a lot of pain, my stomach, my head, it was hard to learn. I was losing and gaining weight in different ways. And it was just like layers of health problems, and I didn't know where to begin. And so I guess it was really my hopelessness from going from doctor to doctor, test to test, of like not getting the answers that I was hoping for, not getting true relief. And it was when the biggest, and I didn't have awareness of this at the time, but my first job was at a gym, and I sat in the front and I watched these people come in as one person, and months later, days after coming in, day after day, meeting with trainers and changing their lives, I watched them transform.
Mm.
And at the same time, I was seeing a naturopath, and I had found some new support in my own life and was changing how I was eating and living and the support in my own life. And I was changing. And so it just all clicked for me. Like, we have so much more power in how our body is responding than just feeling like we're stuck with some kind of diagnosis
Right.
and with some kind of symptom. And so I think it was just that dug in. I also got into Reiki when I was 17. And so that gave me a whole new language for just being an intuitive, empathic person. And I think that played into having so many health problems because it was just a lot. They call us highly sensitive people, right? And we literally have a different way that our brains are wired. There's even animals that are more highly sensitive wired. We have more, feelings than people that don't have as many mirror neurons in their brain. So basically, I think it was just learning how to handle being sensitive, having health problems, and then it clicking in my mind. And it's like once that clicked, it was an unstoppable path. I mean, I say it was a rabbit hole I went down. I'm telling you, every day I feel like I'm studying new science, new modalities, and I do go from the modern PubMed studies and science out there, quantum physics, all of that, all these cool biohacking tools and technologies, to the ancient wisdom and the modalities that have been around for centuries, and what those, and then I integrate those. And I think it's just, there's beauty in both, and there's wisdom and power in both. And I just want to learn it all, and I could never learn it all. But it's because I saw that it could help me, and it did help me, and then my children with their health problems, and now I've been able to help so many other people, and it's just so fun. It's like, I know that it's my purpose, because it just gives me so much joy, and so much purpose and passion comes from me organically. So, yeah.
Wow. There's a lot to unpack there. Yes, yes. You see, that's being open to learning, kind of always curiosity. That's such a beautiful, I don't know if it might be a skill, right? Do you consider curiosity a skill? Or
I don't know if it's a skill or if it's a part of your, if it's maybe, and I didn't even think of it as a gift, but yeah, I do think asking the right questions is a skill, right? Which is part of curiosity. But I think some people maybe have more of a nature. Think about like a puppy that's more into everything versus a puppy that just wants to be content in that space. So I do think it might be our nature as well, as like, if we're curious, there's kind of, is there an unsatiable like desire to just explore and know everything? Like, some people can go to a beach and just sit and enjoy that very spot. Me, I have to know if there's anything that I need to see. I want to know the history of where I am and what happened there years before. And, like, I don't want to miss anything. So I think my personality is like, I don't want to miss anything. I'm here for, I don't know how long I'm here for. So I just want to learn as much as I can and help people as much as I can. And optimize my own health. It's like a game to me. Like, how healthy can I be? And how healthy can I help other people be? So now that I've learned that we have that power, it's like, there's no way of it ending. Like, it's just so fun.
Yeah, it sounds like to me. Yes. Yeah. And with that in mind, that was one of my first questions to you, besides the who you are. How do you define this concept of health? What is to be a healthy person?
There's probably a million ways to define health, but I would say that peace, balance, joy, because and to me, the word optimize and health come together, right? So really, like, having energy, having the ability to do whatever your mind wants to do in your body, and not to the extreme, right? But not having any limitations for enjoying being a human in the physical sense. So that would be your mind, your body, and your spirit, all like really beautifully in sync and thriving. That's what the definition of health would be for me.
Right. And yeah, that goes back to energy. That's something that it used to be my reference to having the energy to do the things that I wanted to do. For some reason, I always had that naturally. I never had any major health problems. So my body was very strong and always willing to kind of do whatever was asked, of it. But then for some reason I shifted. Yeah, right. I have to say that, Valentina. That's true. Because when I hear there's a lot of people in my family and a lot of friends, people that I interview here, that had a lot of health issues. So it's interesting to notice. I just kind of realized, wait a minute, I never had those. But I had different problems like that affected my health for sure in a different way. Um, Coming from abuse, childhood trauma, that was just devastating though. And physically, I was kind of doing well for some of the body. That's when that's why I say my body has been very strong, because emotionally I was not well. And then I was affecting the body, but not in a major way. But so for some reason, my interest, because I was very healthy physically, and I was now well psychologically, emotionally, and spiritually, I became very curious about uh, how to become whole again, because I felt very much fragmented and broke. So I wanted to be whole again, in the sense that you spoke of, not just having the energy, but always being, the joy, that sense of having a sense of purpose, I guess, that was part of it, but feeling complete. That's what I really wanted. And for some reason, being healthy physically was not getting me to that level. So spirituality has been my path. And I mean, it just showed me so much. I have learned so much through practice, of course, meditation, contemplation, reflection. And now I can't help but think about love in a way as understanding, knowledge, understanding. The deeper, the better. That will lead to love, the sense of connectivity. And then from that, this feeling of freedom. Then now I'm not all close to anything, and I've just let everything to be what it is. So I'm not pushing anything away.
That's
And
beautiful.
that's how I kind of think about health these days. But that's, of course, my perspective. And with that, I wonder if you have this, somehow you have this understanding that health can be connected to spirituality, to spiritual knowledge.
For sure.
Do you?
Yeah. Oh, yes, for sure. I definitely think that there's a fundamental human need of like desiring a greater understanding of who we are and where we came from, and feeling that purpose is coming through us. And I think that someone once asked me like, what is God to you? And I think I was like 16, and it was a homeless man on the side of the road.
Yeah.
I don't know if he was truly homeless or doing some kind of research project to just to
Yes.
seeing if people would speak to him. But my answer, and I didn't even think about it, but the answer that flew out of my mouth was love. And I still
Mm.
believe that love is like the language of healing. And I also believe that it's what connects us all to
Mm.
our greater higher selves and to each other.
Mm.
And so I think, just as you were just talking about completion, I love that you said your path to healing was feeling complete, and you did that through spirituality. And so I think that that's a beautiful way to find the pieces of ourselves, and it can happen really organically through spirituality, for sure. So there are a lot of paths to healing. And yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but I definitely believe it's a part of it. And for me as well, there was a lot that I never could process, as I was saying, which is why motherhood has been a huge healing for me, because I was so out of my body as a kid because my body was so uncomfortable that I didn't realize I never touched down to experience like being human so much, because I was just so uncomfortable. So I lived like in my own like upper worlds, in my own, kind of little world. And yeah, so whatever kind of allows us to connect all the pieces within ourselves and to feel whole and complete, that I think we are. And that it's almost like we don't have to try, but we have to stop resisting, and we have to stop fearing. We have to release the fear, and we have to release the resistance.
Yes.
And then it happens just organically. Like like the water flows through a river. It's like the flow of it is in and of itself is healing. And that's like source energy, God, love, whatever you call that source, just flowing through.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where like true healing comes. And, there's a million ways to get there.
Yes. A billion yeses to that. As I always say, I love what he said. I wrote it down here. I had to. Love is the language of healing. That's powerful. And you see, I had to go back to understanding, which has to do with knowledge. So what is what is philosophical knowledge, spiritual knowledge? It was just all about I had to know something at the psychological level first, intellectual level, and then bring it down to the body, and then kind of translate into practicality, practice. So love, it was the practice, is exactly that, which it has to do with understanding others. So once I had understood myself for this mind-body complex, then it was easier to look at look at the outside and try to understand everything instead of judging. So fear was not there anymore, as you said beautifully. Yeah, resisting. So resistance was not there anymore. And that has been one of the most profound practices for me, which we can call it spiritual, but I don't know, Valentina, it might be just, it feels very practical to me, kind of looking at everything as the source itself, being knowing that everything has the same essence, the same ground of existence, so being existence itself. So we are existing things, kind of not even under, it's almost like, it seems like existence itself overarches, what exists. So it's, I know it sounds abstract for some people, and I often talk a lot about this here, but it feels very, very real to me. It makes it's so much easier. The nervous system kind of relaxes immediately when I'm faced with, let's say, watch something on TV. I usually don't watch TV, but my husband does. And then when I'm with him, I see he puts in this channel with the news, and I see all the violence and all that. So instead of resisting, I kind of just stay there, and nothing really happens. Before, I used to get worked up and really nervous and all that, but not anymore. So it is a wonderful practice.
That's a trigger. And I usually say, we think that if something triggers us, we need to control it so that it doesn't trigger us. But if we lean into the trigger, then we have the opportunity to heal the trigger source, which is usually some kind of subconscious belief that you're not safe. And so once you go and heal that you're safe and that you're there for yourself, and you're going to be safe to be whole and complete no matter what your surroundings are, then your surroundings aren't going to throw you off and make you want to react, in the same way. So,
Yes.
That's a really like empowering space to be in when something from the past triggered you and now it doesn't. And so I think if we took that approach to a world level, that there we would have incredible healing, because we're just all reacting to our past pains and triggers like crazy, But there is a movement happening right now of, okay, how can we regulate our nervous systems? I mean, a few years ago, nobody even knew what that meant for the most part. And now it's like, it's kind of, everybody's meditating, and not everyone, but it's so much more common, the benefits of meditation and yoga and breath work and just drinking enough water. It's like, okay, now that we've got these fundamentals, we can grow as a society and become healthier in ourselves and collectively,
Right. Expand, right? There's, the health that's in here, that we can feel it in it's already grounded. I love this idea. And I think it's the only way, really, right? If this is what we want to change the world, it's changing ourselves. It sounds like a cliche, and I have heard that a lot here. We talk a lot about this here, but it's the truth, though. I don't think there is any other way. We can't change out there.
It's the key to everything. So yeah, we just have to look within ourselves. So I'm always doing that in my own life. Like if something's bothering me, what is it? It's either usually something reflecting within me that I do, or the opposite of what I do. And maybe I'm out of balance. And so my experience is like the opposite of what I'm doing in some way. So it's really, you can get lost and it can be very abstract, but it's also like profound. If you just ask yourself the right questions, then you wait, the answers and the wisdom can reveal itself to you. It's pretty cool.
Yes, I agree. And the younger, the better, right? If we can start doing this at a younger age. That's why I love people like yourself having children and coming from that place of wisdom and always wanting to learn, being the teacher and the student, as we talked off record. So that sounds like, wow, what a wonderful thing, opportunity to raise human beings, kind of, raise them in that environment. That must be incredible. So I have to thank you again for that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm really into this attachment parenting theory. And there's a couple of books. One is called Good Inside by Dr. Becky. She's really kind of famous now, but it's a great parenting tool on how to help your kids navigate emotions without making them wrong for having those strong emotions. And then there's one for relationships called Secure Love. And it's also great. So the whole attachment theory is like how we can reflect on our own part in the situation and how we can, in a healthy way, communicate how we're feeling so that we can work together to change things. And so if we start doing that in every relationship, that really can change the world, right? So, so it's powerful.
Yes. Do you have, do you work with mothers or most of your clients, mothers as well?
Well, I work with people that are led to work with me, that I'm led to work with. So many of them, may or may not be mothers, but I think that we all have like mother wounds. We all have this experience as humans. So there's always layers, whether you have physical children or not, that can be healed. And there's also ways to heal ourselves so we can help the next generation be healthier and happier. And that's through generational healing work as well. And I've found that to be one of the coolest things that I do. I don't know, it's hard to pick, but it's just releasing patterns through one person actually releases those patterns through the whole generational line. So it's really, really cool to see how that unfolds for children and for parents, especially where there's dysfunction. And it's like the triggers can unravel without even actually having the conscious mind involved in it. That's through body code and through, intuitive work. I do muscle testing and magnets and all of that to release. It's like a combination of energy work and body code to release what's being held in the body, but it moves through the lineage through like energy work, through the governing meridian, which is Chinese medicine. So it's really cool how that all goes together. So.
Wow, it sounds like it. Yeah, I was reading about you and all the certifications and the skills that you have. There are lots, and you just mentioned some of them that I didn't know, body code. But you're also a Reiki master, a EFT master practitioner. Gosh, nutrition. I mean, so much. And then a labor doula. Is that how you pronounce it, doula? I think it is, right?
Yes.
That is interesting.
I became very passionate about natural birth, and I had both of my children. So I have 4 children, 2 I inherited and 2 I birthed, I say. And which worked out well for me, because after the first one, I was like, I don't know if I could go through this again, but I did want a big family. So inheriting children is a good path for people. But I will say that I had such fast labors. One was 45 minutes and one was 2 hours, and one was at home, and they were both water births. And so again, when your mind and body are working together, you can really work on creating the experience that you want. And so I did that through meditation, through hypnobirthing, meditation, preparation, and yoga. So I've been practicing these hacks, these modalities, these tools through my own life. And that's why I love teaching them to other people, because they just can totally change the way your life unfolds, really. It just gives you the ability to be an active participant in how you're experiencing things. So I truly believe that I was able to create my own birth experience because I was emotionally and physically and mentally prepared. I also know that my mom's 2-hour labor with me impacted my 2-hour labor with my daughter, because had our births at the exact same time of night, 2:10 a.m. Like, what are the chances, So that's another piece of it, is like, we really do play things out in a huge way, and that goes back to epigenetics. Like, there's all these studies about, fear things. There's studies about mice smelling different scents that have never even been, their little paws have never even been shocked. And for like 7 generations after the first mice were traumatized with a certain cherry blossom scent and shocking their little paws, the 7 generations later, they were running around freaking out when they smelled that scent, because their body said something scary is about to happen. Run, you're not safe. So there's this whole thing. It's like our bodies are playing so much of that out as well. So
it's not just the mind, right? It's the body. Right. Of course, they are connected. Yeah, because
exactly
connected. How amazing! Yes, I have heard that. I interviewed somebody not so recently, a few months ago, exactly about that. He's what is he again? He's a kind of known. Gosh, I can't remember. Not a neuroscientist, but some sort of a scientist, a doctor, physician, scientist. And he noticed that some of his clients were developed symptoms that he was not able to track them to their lifetime, like this lifetime, whatever their lifestyle in lifetime. So, and then he became very curious about asking them questions about their parents and grandparents and great grandparents, and then he found out that they were Holocaust survivors there.
Wow.
And then he connected everything was connected. That's why they developed certain symptoms. And then he wrote a book about it, and he's trying to get this out there because he feels like it's crucial, this understanding in modern science, especially in psychology, of course, but he almost playing this role of a psychologist, asking questions to his clients, but he's not a psychologist. So he's trying to bring, kind of close that gap between, physical issues and then mental issues and then spiritual issues. So how can we bring all this together? How can we bring this understanding to the medical field in general? So he's been doing amazing work with that, but it's not. I guess it's not easy, right, Valentina, to get this information out there, because it seems so obvious to some of us, but it's not something that the system, in a way, is willing to look at it and change, right? Make change to it, because it's a structure that has been created.
Well, as we say, we have a sick care system. And so there's a lot of people profiting off of us being sick. And there's not as much money to be made off of us being well. And there are kind of like the organic food movement or natural food industry. There's a lot of greenwashing that's going on just so that those bigger companies can have their hand in making money on that trend. It's the same in the supplement industry. So just, it's difficult to know who's giving accurate information. It's difficult, but if we have our intuition in check and we're listening to our bodies, and we're paying attention to what our bodies are telling us, and then there are so many ways that we can help ourselves. So, and if you know your genes then you can really help yourself. So that's the work that I really find fascinating. Epigenetics is really, it's like the coolest thing to have your blueprint on how your genes are set up so that you know how best to eat, how best to work out, how best to handle stress and your hormones and all of those components. And so it's a lot easier than trying to fix something by a one size fits all or trying all the different things that are out there. There's just so much noise and so many people trying to make money off of things as well. So
yes, very good point, though. So the idea is to empower ourselves by becoming more knowledgeable about our own system, our own body minds. And I absolutely agree. So you speak a lot about, I went on your website and I was looking, genetic testing. That's one. The DNA blueprints.
yes.
And then somatic-based programs, which you just mentioned now. So talk to me about how all this works. Is that for everyone, Valentina? Anyone can do this, or just for certain people? I know you mentioned before who are meant to, but for those listening, yeah, I would love to know more about that.
Of course. So if you've come across my work and you feel led to learn more, then it's for you. That's who it's meant for. The thing about your DNA, it's a cheek swab, and I test over 500 different genes and 120,000 SNPs in over 50 categories. So you really get a very comprehensive, 70-page plus report on how your body works, plus time with me to go over that and a plan on anything that's coming up for you at this point and how you can, in a custom protocol, work through healing that. And I personally integrate somatic healing into everything that I do because our body is reacting to our environment in such a large way. And we have so many toxins in our environment that we're up against processing. Right. And we have such a fast moving, high stress lifestyle that we've normalized. And so we have to have the tools to be able to process that. You can be doing everything right. And if you don't have a way to process cortisol, it's basically going to make toxic impact on your body if you've got too much cortisol in your body. Right. Cortisol can be a good thing too. So it's just making sure that everyone has the tools. So yes, it's just a cheek swab and you can be any age and there's nothing that, any time of month, there's no specific requirements you just don't want to eat or drink 30 minutes before you swab, and that's pretty much it. You want to get as much DNA on that. And it's a very highly secure, no database is going to store your information. No company is going to have your information linked to you. I believe in high security on that. And so I work directly with the lab to be able to get people this DNA test, and I'm able to put it into a really cool application that gives a lot of different information that you can use for the rest of your life. So it's really profound work. And then, it's really amazing because one of my favorite experiences is that aha moment for people when they're like, of course I'm that way. It all makes sense now. That's normal and right for me. No wonder I'm that way, or no wonder I, have this or that going on. So it's just so validating to have those answers. So whether you've got some kind of major health thing that you're trying to navigate, or if you just are wanting to optimize some part of your life health-wise, even mindset and energy wise, even emotionally, it just, all of these genes control every single response in our body. This is on a chemical level. And I also do hair mineral testing as a part of that as well. And so we can see exactly what your mineral balancing is right now, which is those are the spark plugs to every system in your body as well. So you get a photo of a very clear picture on the cards you were dealt, and also what your current hand is, and then you can figure out a strategy on how to face anything so much easier. So
It sounds amazing to me. The question that comes to mind is these testings, are they done online, Valentina, or do we have to go to a place, a physical lab?
So the package comes to you by mail, and you just take the cheek swab and then you mail it to the lab directly, and that's it. And it takes 6 to 8 weeks for me to get the results and get a report ready. And then we set up a report session and we go over all of it. And it's a long, time that we have together to just dive into all of it. And then from there, if somebody's wanting to really dive into getting some support, I do offer somatic healing sessions and things like that through packages. So I can give people as much support, or if they're like, cool, this is what I needed, and now I have the strategy on how to move forward, then they're good to go. So it really just depends. I do customize at that point, but I do believe that starting with knowing your genes is just probably one of the most profound pieces of information for any human being to have about themselves. And so, yeah, now that I have that, it's like everything has changed. And I know my clients feel the same.
Yes, it really makes a lot of sense to me. Of course, from experience, I have done that before, not to this extent, though. This sounds like comprehensive, really complete.
Yes, it is comprehensive, and it's not done by like AI. A lot of the testing companies that they just kind of spit out results. So this is human expert level information coming through us talking through things, as opposed to just putting information and spitting things out at us. So.
Right. And this is, so the information can be found on your website, valentinabain.com, but I will have it here in a clickable way. But I also have a link is that the direct link to the DNA Blueprint package? So I do have the link here too. Yes. I think you sent it to me. So I'll have that link as well in a clickable way.
Amazing.
On this podcast notes.
I love it. Yes. And if people, don't be scared to reach out with questions, because that's what I'm here for. I could talk about this all day, every day. Mm-hmm. Like, really, reach out, set up a discovery call. I do those often, and just answer people's questions, because we all have questions. And so I'm happy to connect and be a resource for people. So
yes, that's wonderful too, because it is important that if we have questions right beforehand, for them to be clarified and to be addressed. So thank you for being open to that as well. And I'll have the website here, and I have everything else. Yes, so the technicalities. I do have a question for you. We're almost at the end. A question about our genes. Do they change? Because I have heard about the genes. Is that accurate? The genes, they're always trying to adapt to our environment, right? That the body's constantly changing. So in order to adapt. So is that something, I'm wondering do we have the same genes throughout our whole lives, or they are always mutating and changing to something else in order to adapt to what we are going through?
So we have the same genes throughout our whole lives. Yes, your genes are never going to change, but what changes is genes do kind of turn on and off. Right. Is the easiest way to understand it. And so if you have an intense amount of stress or a health problem that comes up, it can trigger a genetic, propensity that might be higher on your genetic report. Mm-hmm. It might be more likely for you to have some kind of health problem. And by the way, the testing that I do is not going to say you're going to have this health problem. It's really just more for information purposes. It's not diagnostic. Right. So nothing that I do is diagnostic. It's not to be scary. Right. It's not going to say you have cancer or you're going to get cancer or anything like that. It's going to say, hey, be aware that, this is a weaker point for you potentially. Right. And so how can we support that? And that's really what we're doing. And that's what epigenetics is all about, is how our lifestyle turns on and off our genes and how they express themselves. And that's the part that does change throughout our lives. So as we age, that's a factor. As we go through stress events, that's a factor. As our diets change, our hormones change, all of those are factors that are going to impact how our genes are expressing themselves. And so, yeah, once we understand our genetic makeup and kind of what our weaker points and stronger points are, we can help those along so that we can have a less likely chance of having a health problem come up. So I hope that makes sense. Does that make sense?
That's very clear. Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes. So if we have, like my family, if I had, which I don't have a history of breast cancer, but if I had that, then that comes up my genetic, let's say, profile, then it doesn't mean that I will have breast cancer.
Correct. It would just say, perhaps you have trouble metabolizing estrogen, right? So then during the times when your hormones are shifting, you could have more of a likelihood to have trouble with that unless you, support that part of your body in this or that way. So that's where we get custom protocols on and really specific. And I do custom supplementation, so you can create your very own supplement. So you don't have to take, 10 different things and spend on 10 different things. You could have one supplement that's just made for you. And that's not required, but there's things like that are options that just can make it easier if there's something like that you do want to tackle, that you do want to support in the body.
Wow. Yeah. It sounds amazing to me. It's a prevention, right? So it's we are working on before something happens, which I really love that idea. And that's why I have this very healthy lifestyle, kind of with that in mind. But it has to do with fun too. I don't do anything just out of, I try not to follow protocols when it comes to eating, like diets and all those things, because that takes the playfulness out of it too. But I love
that you make your food fun.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't we? It should be delicious and amazing. But yeah, we complicate things a lot, don't we? Well, I mean, it's a $1 billion industry. So I guess it gets a little overwhelming. But
yes, I so resonate with that, Valentina. Yes, why not? We should make not just our food time playful, but also life itself. Thank you so much. We are running out of time, but I would love to meet you again, and I would love to be in touch. So thank you for your beautiful presence, for sharing timeless wisdom, and we'll talk soon. So once again, Valentina's website is valentinabain.com. The website will be on the podcast notes as well. Thank you so much again, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you for listening. To learn more about how you can connect the dots to feel your healthiest, happiest self with a lifetime of blueprint for optimization, please visit valentinabain.com and valentinabain.thrivecart.com/breakthrough-blueprint.
To learn more about this podcast, please visit fitforjoy.org/podcast. Thank you again for listening, and bye for now.